Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I was talking about before in my last video, the Aladdin new versus old versus new, and I kind of just wanted to go on tangent what I was talking about in that video about the other movies and like how women play men positions and women play men play women, and I don't know why people get so mad. Like the new Little Mermaid, the black actress who's going to be playing the new Little Mermaid. I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like she deserves this. She wouldn't have gotten the job if she didn't. And I feel like people just need to back off. There's a lot of people out there in the world who aren't able to have these kind of opportunities. And for somebody to be able to accomplish something so big as to be in a major Disney movie, The Little Mermaid, a new version. And people who are getting mad because, The Little Mermaid isn't a white girl. And it makes me upset because, okay, you have this kind of, like, people have this kind of fantasy where it's like, oh, The Little Mermaid is this 15-year-old white girl with red hair, blah, blah, blah. That is a story that Disney made. The original Little Mermaid was a story that came apart in the 1800s or so. And like, this is a story that Disney kind of flipped. It was actually a very, very, you should look it up. It's actually a very, very sad story. Roughly, basically like the Little Mermaid, when a mermaid becomes 15, she goes up to the surface. And in the Disney's version, when she does go up to the surface, she sees the ship. And on that ship, she sees Eric. She falls in love with him at first sight, blah, 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 the whole story. And when she goes down to talk to Ursula, tells her story, in the original, basically, the Little Mermaid agreed to give Ursula her voice and her tongue, so she couldn't speak or sing. Also, her legs would hurt and she'd be in pain when she walked, and they would bleed continuously, which is honestly really uncomfortable. And Eric, in the actual story, not the Disney version, wound up marrying a princess. And so, Ariel, distraught, sad, her sisters come, they're bald because they basically give up their hair to Ursula for a knife. And, the deal is if Ariel is able to kill the prince with that said knife, everything goes back to normal. Ariel, is a mermaid again. She gets her voice back, blah, blah, blah. And everything's back to normal. But Ariel can't do it. She's a good person. So what actually winds up happening is she jumps off a cliff. She jumps off the side of a boat, and it's a very sad story. And Disney kind of twisted it, like most stories, like Pinocchio and all these other stories out there. Peter Pan. If you actually look at the original of these stories, they're very dark, very, very dark, and Disney turned them into children's stories, cartoons, animations. So somebody judging The Little Mermaid based on a look, you're not basing it on any kind of actual story that's, set in stone. You're basing it off a movie that came out in like 1989. It was a while ago. It was so long ago. It over 20 years ago. It's not like people who are getting mad over, the look of The Little Mermaid. It's getting to the point where you sound racist, and it's sad. Just be happy for her. And you know what? Judge her on her performance. Judge her based on, what she brings to the movie, not based on what she looks like. And that's all I'm going to say on that topic. But anyway, I wanted to get in about, like how we are as people. I feel like, no matter how far we get into being a certain society, that we can see ourselves being like acceptable. accepting others for who they are, because everybody wants to come to America. Everybody wants to, go to the land of the free and like all these things. And it's hard to be a part of that when a lot of it is just hatred. And it's not, because I lived out of the country for a lot of my life, almost all of it. I was born in America, but I didn't live here very long. And honestly, the only reason I am an American citizen is because I was born here. And I've only lived here for a couple years now. And so, coming from somebody who didn't live here for a long time, during the Bush time and all that, and like the beginning of Obama and like all those things, I wasn't here. So for me, I can, see an outside perspective on how it's being viewed. And I feel like a lot of it is coming out as hatred. And it's not something, and since living here, I've noticed that it's not coming from a bad place. It's coming from, oh, I need to protect us. We need to protect ourselves. But the thing is I don't know. I feel like a lot of countries don't worry about other countries. They worry about themselves. And I feel like America is the type of country to kind of put their power out there and put it in places where we're not needed. And instead of looking at ourselves and saying like, hey, this money could be used here, giving it to our children, giving it to the college students who need it, like the youth of our country, the future of our country, instead of putting the money back into ourselves, we're putting it out there for other things. And, I don't know. I'm not so big on politics. I definitely believe that, everybody has their own opinions on it. And I just feel like our next president, I feel like in order for us to get back on track, we really need someone who's willing to change a lot of things. And honestly, right now I'm looking towards Elizabeth Warren. You should check her out. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about politics. I'm not really big on politics, but when I do see someone that stands out to me like Elizabeth Warren, then I'm definitely going to mention it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that. Anyway, so I kind of wanted to talk more about a lot of the vegan, vegetarian things. My sister's a vegetarian and my cousin is vegan. And like in the beginning, I thought it was kind of just like, like, oh, hey, I'm vegetarian. Oh, hey, I'm vegan. Like I'm vegan. And I know there's people like that out there, but I also believe that it's not all that they say it is. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those people who are vegetarian and vegan, they're not vegan or vegetarian just to be like, to say they are. It's because they genuinely want change. They genuinely want the world to be better. And, a lot of people, say like, oh, hey, like, I don't like vegetarians. I don't like vegans. They're always out there trying to tell us that we're bad. It's like, I've actually had a conversation with a vegetarian recently. And it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things when it comes to, their ways and how they're viewing things. And she said, you know what? We're not asking you guys to like, completely change your life. We're not asking, you guys, like a lot of the famous people who are becoming vegans or vegetarians or trying to eat less. It has nothing to do with trying to keep up with the trend or trying to be, in any way like, that. It's more like they're becoming more aware of what's going on. Like they're seeing, the hurtful things that are happening to animals, like the brutality, the unnecessary slaughtering and like mass slaughtering for things that just go to waste. Like, do you know how much meat goes to waste when people don't buy it? And it's just thrown away because we make it in such a big quantity. It's like, you see, when you go to a grocery store, like 9 times out of 10, it'll be full. Like the meat section will be completely full. Think about all of that meat. And a lot of it goes off in a few days. And all that meat that isn't sold, that you can't sell because it's meat, like bread and stuff like that can go off and that you can donate or whatever, with stale bread, you can still use for, certain recipes. But bad meat, you can't use bad meat. You know what I mean? So all that stuff just gets thrown away. And I could be wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but like, this is just something that I've heard from somebody who works at a grocery store. They basically told me like, no, we throw all this away. I was, it was shocking to me. And like when I had this conversation with this vegetarian, they said like, look, like we're not trying to change people's perspective on, like what they should do and what they shouldn't do. We're not, we're just trying to be like, hey, like make a difference, try. Like, hey, how about you only eat meat like twice a week? Or you try to eat, no meat at least 3 times a week or something like that. Like make an effort, And if enough people make an effort and enough people become aware, then these hurtful things that are happening will start to stop. We'll start to see change. And that's all a lot of people want. And I feel, like I was a kind of person who back then when, all these vegan, oh, I'm vegan, all these memes came out, I'm vegan. Like, I feel like a lot of people did just go with the trend, but there are a lot of people like me who've seen the videos of animals being tortured and like all these things, and you can see it online, but it's just, I cried, and it does need to change. And, and I've even, I have 3 days a week where I don't eat meat. I put in tofu or I eat, seafood or something. I don't eat like red or white meat at all. I try not to. And I feel like, go a day where you have a vegetarian pizza, like pineapple olive or mushroom and olive or something with no meat on it. Like you can still have the food that you want. But sometimes just making that little change, that slight change, it makes a huge difference. And, there's a lot of substitutes out there, like, like eat seafood instead. Like everybody, well, I know a lot of people like shrimp, or salmon or something like that, or yeah, there's a lot of different things out there that you can eat, and like, I don't know, I feel like, making one day, at least one day, and take the time to actually watch a video. And it's going to be hard. It was hard for me. It was hard for me to sit there and watch, animals technically being tortured. It was hard for me. I cried and it's going to be hard for a lot of people to get through those videos. But you need to be aware. You need to be aware of what's going on around you. I feel at this point it's ignorant. Is ignorant to feel, to basically say, okay, hey, look, like I don't want to look at that. Like I like meat. I don't want to look at that. It's like, I get it. I like meat too. I love steak. I like, it's like one of my favorite dinners. Like I love steak, mashed potatoes, like, it's delicious. But I now only have that once a week. Like it's not about quitting it completely. It's about being aware. Because in the circle of life, if you actually look at it, animals eat animals. We are animals and we can eat other animals. But it's how you kill those other animals. It's like how they're being treated. Like I lived in Ireland for a long time and like I'm not used to eating off these huge things. I grew up in a small town, so most of the local butcher had farm animals, and they used every part of the animal. They used the bones in like broths and stuff, and like they used every part of it, every part. And and the skin, we use the skin for leather and stuff. So it's like you have to actually like think about it. Like where are we in life where animals are just being tortured and slaughtered by the thousands and nobody cares, and all this meat and all these things are just going to waste because it's not being used. Like there needs to be a change, and I feel like it only starts with you. Nobody else can change your mind. It has to start with you. It's the same thing when you make a change in your life and you want to go on a diet or you want to do something. It's like it's the same thing. It's willpower. It's the will to change what you think is wrong. And me, yeah, I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan, but I'm trying. It's taking that next step by saying, hey, look, I'm not going to eat meat 3 days in a row. I'm not going to eat meat 3 days out of the week. Or, I'm only going to eat meat one day next week. Like I'm going to have fish, or I'm going to have, some kind of vegetarian dish or something. Tofu. Whatever you want to do, you can look up recipes that are actually really delicious. But you should, for yourself, for the planet, like think about it. Like, cause I love animals. I love cows. I grew up, in Ireland. There's cows in the middle of the street. Like there's sheep walking around. Like, I see them all the time. So it's like when I actually went to one of those farms, they have big cattle farms. Like, if you're driving down like a freeway in the middle of nowhere, sometimes you'll see them and they're all crowded in one area. And like me and my family, we just happened to stop by because we love cows. So we love the smell of farms. So we stopped and we like went over there, and people were like telling us to leave. And we were kind of, it was like there was no gates or anything. It was just like a big thing. And I was like, hey, like we just want to say hi to the cows. Like, can we see them? Like, and you can hear the suffering. Like you can hear it in their voices when, they're mooing. Like it kind of got me shaking a little bit after I started hearing it, because the guy was trying to get us to go away. And all I kept hearing was just like this sad whining noises. And like, you can kind of see them all, like I was looking over the sky and like, you could just see them all crowded in there together, and their heads are just sticking out and they can't move. And it just broke my heart. Anyway, I'm not, I'm not trying to tell anybody to change who they are, but people do need to realize like their impact on the world, and like how in a lot of people think like, well, if I change, that doesn't mean anything. That's not true. If you change, and you tell someone in your family this, or you tell a friend this, and they decide to do it, and then they just another person, then you have a whole bunch of people change. So a person saying like, oh, one person is going to do it, that's not true. Because you could say the same thing for the president. You could say the same thing for, someone who's in the limelight who's talking. Something they say will impact a lot of people who are listening. So, put it out there. And if you don't support vegans, you don't support, you're on the meat train all the way. It's like, nobody's asking you to like stop eating meat. They're just saying, be more aware of, where you're getting your meat. And like, how they're being treated. That's pretty much all anybody's ever asked for. And I think, those people who are just saying, I'm vegan just to get, the hype about it. They're still doing the right thing. And I probably will never stop eating meat. I don't know what the future is going to hold for me, but I know just making that slight change makes a difference. Just think about one day a week, or you could say, no, I could do more than that. Then try. Like, that's all. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I really think people just need to stop, trying to be so against change or against the future. Like when it comes to, movies or, how our world is turning out. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it and try to make the best out of it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you only live once, so I want to enjoy my food. I want to enjoy it. It's like, right, but who's going to be here when you're gone? Your children. And I want my children to be the best they can be. I want this world to be better when I'm gone. So for me, I feel like the more positivity and love and acceptance that we put out there, the better our world is going to be. And like, just take that small step and try. And you know what? If it doesn't work out for you, try to, talk to somebody else about it. Maybe they will do it. Like, you don't know. Like a lot of, the world is different that way, where, one person could say something and it could impact the entire family, or it could impact an entire group of people. That's how it is nowadays. Like with YouTube and TV and news, it's like one person says something everything changes. So I don't know. Maybe there is such a thing as one person could change the lives of a lot of people. And not just like, oh, I'm just one person, I can't do anything. I mean, if Superman or Batman said that, then where would they be? You know what I mean? It's like the people who go out of their way to help others. I think that's kind of like how I want to be for myself. And I feel, deep down, I feel like a lot of people are like that. They want the best for the world and themselves and others. And we just need to like look in ourselves and instead of just saying negative things, think about what you say. Like, am I going to say something that's going to affect someone in a bad way? Is this going to affect their life? Am I going to make somebody sad or depressed? Think about it, because there's a lot of people out there that already have all that negative stuff in their life, and they don't need it. And if you were in their position, you wouldn't want it. So maybe, and you can take this any way you want. A lot of people are going to take this in a negative way, or some people are going to take this as I'm like, oh, I agree. And I want you to comment. I want you guys to comment. And I don't want any fighting. There needs to be an equal ground. Like, everybody has different opinions. Nobody's going to have the same opinion as you. And nobody's going to have the same opinion as me. And there's going to be differences in the world. But what we need to do is we need to look past those differences for progress. And progress is equality and being equal with each other and making the world a better place. So if you're not all about that, just don't even bother commenting, because like I just want positive things. And if you do put out something negative, I will definitely delete it. So, but anyway, I really do. I want you guys to think about the future and how you want it to be. But yeah, that's it for this video. So thank you guys so much. Please comment, subscribe, and like this video. I'll see you in the next one.